In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where galaxies dance through infinite darkness and stars burn with nuclear fire, there exists a realm so strange, so fundamentally alien to our everyday experience, that it challenges the very nature of what we call reality. This is the quantum world, a place where particles exist in multiple states simultaneously, where observation itself changes the outcome of events, and where the simple act of looking can collapse entire universes of possibility into a single, definite result. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, we'll explore these quantum mysteries together, not with the sharp focus of daytime consciousness, but with the gentle curiosity of a mind preparing to rest. These aren't just abstract concepts confined to university laboratories and theoretical papers. These are the fundamental rules governing everything around you, from the atoms in your body to the light streaming from distant stars. The quantum realm operates on principles so counterintuitive that even Einstein himself struggled to accept them. He famously declared that God does not play dice with the universe, yet the evidence continues to mount that at its deepest level, reality is indeed governed by probability, uncertainty, and phenomena that seem to border on the magical. Consider this for a moment. The device you're listening to this on, whether it's a phone, computer, or tablet, exists because we've learned to harness quantum effects. The semiconductors that power our modern world operate according to quantum principles. The GPS satellites overhead require corrections for quantum mechanical effects to maintain their accuracy. We live in a quantum world, yet most of us remain unaware of the strange undercurrents that make our technological civilization possible. But quantum mechanics isn't just about technology, it's about the nature of existence itself. When we peer into the quantum realm, we discover that reality is far more fluid, far more mysterious than our senses suggest. The solid matter beneath your feet, the air you breathe, even your own body, all of it is mostly empty space populated by particles that behave more like probability clouds than the tiny billiard balls we once imagined. The journey we're about to embark on will take us through some of the most profound mysteries ever uncovered by human investigation. We'll explore the double-slit experiment, where single particles somehow interfere with themselves, creating patterns that should be impossible. We'll delve into quantum entanglement, Einstein's spooky action at a distance, where particles separated by vast distances remain mysteriously connected, influencing each other instantaneously across the void. We'll examine the measurement problem, the deeply unsettling question of how the fuzzy, probabilistic quantum world gives rise to the definite classical reality we experience every day. We'll encounter Schrödinger's cat, that famous feline trapped in a superposition of life and death, and we'll grapple with what this means for our understanding of observation and reality. These mysteries aren't merely academic curiosities. They're windows into the fundamental nature of existence. They suggest that reality might be far stranger than we ever imagined, that consciousness might play a more central role in the universe than we previously thought, and that the boundary between the observer and the observed might be more fluid than our everyday experience suggests. As we explore these concepts together, allow your mind to drift with the ideas rather than grasping for complete understanding. The quantum world doesn't reveal its secrets to aggressive interrogation. Instead, it whispers its truths to those willing to sit quietly and listen, to those who can embrace uncertainty and find beauty in the mysterious. The ancient philosophers wondered whether the world existed independently of our observation of it. Quantum mechanics suggests they were asking exactly the right question. In the quantum realm, the act of observation doesn't just reveal reality, it participates in creating it. The universe, it seems, is not a collection of definite objects with predetermined properties, but rather a vast web of possibilities that crystallize into actuality only when observed. This is perhaps the most profound shift in human understanding since Copernicus displaced Earth from the center of the cosmos. We're not passive observers of an objective reality existing independently of us. We're participants in an ongoing act of creation, co-conspirators with the universe in the moment-by-moment emergence of the world we experience. The implications ripple outward in ways that touch every aspect of human knowledge. If observation plays such a fundamental role in determining reality, What does this mean for consciousness? For free will? For the nature of time itself? These aren't questions with easy answers, but they're questions worth contemplating as you prepare for sleep, as your conscious mind gradually releases its grip on the need for certainty and control. In the quantum world, uncertainty isn't a limitation to be overcome. It's a fundamental feature of reality. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle tells us that there are inherent limits to what we can know about a particle's properties. We can measure its position precisely, but then its momentum becomes uncertain. We can pin down its momentum exactly, but then its position becomes fuzzy. This isn't due to the limitations of our instruments. It's written into the fabric of reality itself. This uncertainty, this fundamental fuzziness at the heart of everything, might initially seem disturbing. We're creatures who crave certainty, who build our lives around the assumption that the world is solid, predictable, and comprehensible. But perhaps there's another way to see quantum uncertainty. Perhaps it's the universe's way of preserving mystery, of ensuring that no matter how much we learn, there will always be something more to discover. The quantum world is also a realm of impossible connections. When two particles become entangled, they remain connected in ways that transcend space and time. Measure one particle, and its partner instantly responds, no matter how far apart they are. This phenomenon, which Einstein derided as spooky action at a distance, has been confirmed in laboratory after laboratory. It suggests that beneath the apparent separateness of objects in our everyday world lies a deeper unity, a fundamental interconnectedness that links all things. As you listen to these words, quantum effects are occurring throughout your body. Electrons are tunneling through barriers they shouldn't be able to cross. Photons are being absorbed and emitted in the precise quantum mechanical dance that powers your cellular metabolism. Your very consciousness, the awareness that is receiving these words, emerges from quantum processes occurring in the neural networks of your brain. We are not separate from the quantum mysteries we study. We are expressions of them. The same uncertainty that governs the behavior of subatomic particles governs the emergence of our thoughts and experiences. The same entanglement that connects distant particles might also connect the various aspects of our consciousness, creating the unified sense of self we take for granted. This perspective invites us to see ourselves not as isolated observers looking in at a strange quantum world, but as integral parts of that world, quantum beings in a quantum universe. Our observations, our thoughts, our very existence are all expressions of the same underlying quantum principles that govern everything from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy. As you prepare for sleep, consider this. The boundary between your dreaming and waking consciousness might not be as sharp as you think. In the quantum realm, boundaries are fluid, states are probabilistic, and observation creates reality. Perhaps our dreams are simply another quantum state, another way of collapsing the infinite possibilities of experience into the specific reality of this moment. The quantum mysteries we'll explore in this series don't offer easy answers or comfortable certainties. Instead, they invite us into a deeper relationship with mystery itself. They suggest that the universe is far more wonderful, far more strange, and far more participatory than we ever imagined. In embracing these mysteries, we don't lose our understanding of the world. We gain a richer, more nuanced appreciation for the profound depths that lie beneath the surface of everyday experience. So as you drift toward sleep, carry with you this sense of wonder at the quantum nature of reality. Let your mind rest in the uncertainty, the mystery, the beautiful strangeness of a universe where consciousness and cosmos dance together in an eternal quantum ballet. Part 2. The Dance of Probability and the Architecture of Mystery. In the depths of quantum reality, where our familiar world dissolves into clouds of possibility, there exists a phenomenon so fundamental yet so strange that it challenges every assumption we hold about the nature of existence. We call it wave function collapse, and it represents perhaps the most intimate mystery of the universe, the moment when infinite potential crystallizes into singular reality. Picture, if you will, an electron floating in the darkness of space. In our everyday understanding, we might imagine it as a tiny sphere, a miniature planet orbiting some atomic sun. But this image, comforting as it may be, is profoundly wrong. The electron exists not as a thing, but as a cloud of probability, a mathematical ghost haunting the equations of quantum mechanics. It is everywhere and nowhere, spinning in all directions simultaneously, a fundamental uncertainty that pervades the very fabric of reality. This is the electron's wave function, a shimmering field of potential that contains within it every possible state the particle could occupy. It is neither here nor there, neither spinning up nor spinning down, but rather suspended in a quantum limbo that defies our deepest intuitions about what it means to exist. The wave function is reality in its rawest form, unobserved and unresolved, a cosmic question mark written in the language of mathematics. But then something extraordinary happens. A measurement occurs, a detector clicks, a conscious observer looks. And in that instant, the wave function collapses. The cloud of probability crystallizes into a single, definite outcome. The electron appears here, not there. It spins up, not down. The universe makes a choice, and reality springs forth from the void of infinite possibility. This collapse is not gradual. It is instantaneous, occurring faster than the speed of light, faster than any known process in physics. One moment the electron exists in a superposition of states. The next, it has committed to a single reality. It is as if the universe itself holds its breath until the moment of observation, then exhales into certainty. But what triggers this collapse? What transforms the ethereal mathematics of the wave function into the solid reality we experience? This question has haunted physicists for nearly a century, and the answers they have proposed are as strange and wonderful as the phenomenon itself. Some suggest that consciousness itself plays a role, that the act of observation by a sentient being somehow reaches into the quantum realm and forces reality to choose. In this view, the universe is not complete without observers, and consciousness becomes a fundamental force as important as gravity or electromagnetism. We are not merely passengers in the cosmic story, but active participants in its creation. Others propose that wave function collapse is an illusion, that all possible outcomes actually occur, but in separate, parallel universes. Every quantum measurement splits reality into countless branches, each containing a different version of events. In one universe, the electron spins up. In another, it spins down. Both are equally real, but we experience only one thread in the vast tapestry of existence. Still others suggest that the collapse is triggered by the environment itself, that the fragile quantum states are constantly being nudged and probed by the surrounding world until they can no longer maintain their superposition. In this view, reality emerges not from conscious observation, but from the endless chatter of particles, the background noise of existence that forces quantum systems to make up their minds. But perhaps the most unsettling possibility is that wave function collapse reveals something deeper about the nature of information itself. In quantum mechanics, information is not merely data, but a fundamental aspect of reality. The wave function is not just a mathematical tool, but a repository of all possible information about a system. When it collapses, information is created, crystallizing from the void of uncertainty into the sharp clarity of fact. This suggests that reality is not made of matter or energy, but of information itself. The universe becomes a vast information processing system, constantly computing its own existence, moment by moment, measurement by measurement. We are not living in a universe of things, but in a universe of data, where the fundamental currency is not mass or energy, but bits of information flowing from possibility into actuality. Consider the implications of this view. Every quantum measurement, every wave function collapse, adds new information to the universe. The cosmos is not static, but growing, accumulating knowledge about itself as it evolves. The arrow of time may not be driven by entropy alone, but by the relentless accumulation of information, the universe's endless journey from ignorance to knowledge. And here we encounter one of the deepest paradoxes of quantum mechanics. The more precisely we try to measure a quantum system, the more we disturb it. The very act of gaining information changes the system we are trying to understand. It is as if the universe guards its secrets jealously, allowing us glimpses of truth only at the cost of altering the very reality we seek to comprehend. This is the uncertainty principle in its most profound form. It tells us that there are fundamental limits to what we can know, not because of the limitations of our instruments, but because of the nature of reality itself. The universe is not just uncertain, it is essentially uncertain. And this uncertainty is not a bug in the cosmic software, but a feature. In the quantum realm, the act of measurement becomes a creative act. We are not passive observers of a predetermined reality, but active participants in its creation. Every time we look, we force the universe to choose, to collapse the wave function and commit to a particular outcome. In this sense, consciousness and reality are intimately connected, locked in a dance that creates the world we experience. But what of the unmeasured, the unobserved, the vast reaches of the universe where no conscious eye has ever looked? Do wave functions collapse there? Or do they persist in their ghostly superposition, waiting for some future observer to force them into reality? This question touches on one of the deepest mysteries of existence. Does a tree falling in an empty forest make a sound? In quantum mechanics, the answer may be that the tree exists in a superposition of falling and not falling until someone comes to listen. The wave function collapse also raises profound questions about the nature of time. If the collapse is instantaneous, occurring faster than light, then it seems to violate the principles of relativity. This suggests that the universe may be far more interconnected than we imagine. At the quantum level, separate particles can share a single wave function, their fates linked across the cosmos. When one particle's wave function collapses, its entangled partner instantly knows the outcome, regardless of the distance between them. The universe begins to look less like a collection of separate objects and more like a single, unified system, where every part is connected to every other part in ways we are only beginning to understand. Perhaps most remarkably, wave function collapse may hold the key to understanding how classical reality emerges from quantum uncertainty. Our everyday world, with its solid objects and predictable motions, seems far removed from the ghostly realm of quantum superpositions. Yet somehow, the microscopic uncertainty of quantum mechanics gives rise to the macroscopic certainty of classical physics. This transition, known as the quantum to classical transition, may be driven by the constant collapse of wave functions as quantum systems interact with their environment. The more complex a system becomes, the more frequently its wave function collapses, until quantum uncertainty gives way to classical determinism. In this view, the familiar world we inhabit is built from countless quantum collapses, each one adding another brick to the edifice of reality. But even as we probe deeper into the mysteries of wave function collapse, new questions emerge. What determines which outcome occurs when a wave function collapses? Is it truly random? Or is there some hidden order beneath the apparent chaos? Some physicists have proposed that there may be hidden variables, secret parameters that determine the outcome of quantum measurements. But these theories face their own set of challenges and paradoxes. Others suggest that the randomness is fundamental, that the universe is built on a foundation of pure chance. In this view, wave function collapse is the mechanism by which possibility becomes actuality. The cosmic dice that determine the fate of every particle, and by extension, every atom, every molecule, every living being in the universe. As we stand at the edge of the quantum realm, gazing into the abyss of uncertainty, we are confronted with a reality that is far stranger than our ancestors could have imagined. The solid, predictable world of classical physics dissolves into a shimmering landscape of possibility, where the very act of observation creates reality. The wave function collapse is more than just a quirk of quantum mechanics. It is a window into the deepest nature of existence, a glimpse of the cosmic machinery that transforms potential into actual possibility, into reality. It reminds us that we are not separate from the universe we study, but integral parts of its ongoing creation. In the end, the mystery of wave function collapse may never be fully solved. It may remain forever at the edge of our understanding, a reminder that the universe is far more mysterious and wonderful than we can comprehend. But in wrestling with this mystery, we come to appreciate something profound about our place in the cosmos. We are not merely observers of reality, but participants in its creation. Every measurement we make, every observation we conduct, every question we ask contributes to the ongoing story of the universe. We are the conscious agents through which the cosmos comes to know itself, the instruments by which possibility becomes reality. And perhaps that is the most beautiful mystery of all, that in a universe built on uncertainty, consciousness emerges as the force that creates certainty, that transforms the ghostly mathematics of the wave function into the vibrant reality we call home. In the dance between observer and observed, between possibility and actuality, between mind and matter, the universe writes its story, one quantum collapse at a time. The quantum realm continues to beckon, filled with more mysteries than we have yet imagined. In its depths lie the secrets of reality itself, waiting for us to develop the tools and the wisdom to unlock them. The vast cosmos stretches before us, filled with mysteries that dance at the edge of our understanding. Tonight, we venture into the quantum realm, where reality becomes strange and wondrous, where the very act of observation shapes what exists. Imagine standing at the threshold between worlds. In our everyday experience, objects exist in definite states. A coin is either heads or tails, a door is open or closed. But descend into the quantum realm, and this certainty dissolves like morning mist. Here, particles exist in multiple states simultaneously, suspended in clouds of probability until the moment we choose to look. This is the heart of quantum superposition. An electron doesn't orbit an atom like a tiny planet following a predictable path. Instead, it exists as a wave of possibility, spread across all potential locations at once. It's everywhere and nowhere, dancing in the space between certainty and mystery. Consider the famous thought experiment of Schrödinger's cat. A cat sealed in a box with a quantum trigger that may or may not release poison. According to quantum mechanics, until we open the box and observe, the cat exists in a superposition of states, both alive and dead simultaneously. This isn't merely philosophical speculation. It's the strange reality that governs the microscopic foundation of everything we see. The double-slit experiment reveals this mystery in its purest form. When scientists fire individual particles at a barrier with two slits, something extraordinary happens. Each particle seems to pass through both slits at once, creating an interference pattern like waves overlapping on water. But the moment we try to observe which slit the particle passes through, the wave-like behavior vanishes. The particle chooses a path, as if our observation forces reality to decide. This brings us to one of quantum mechanics' most profound implications. The observer effect suggests that consciousness itself may play a fundamental role in shaping reality, not in some mystical sense, but as a measurable, reproducible phenomenon. The universe, it seems, exists in a state of potential, until awareness collapses those possibilities into definite outcomes. But quantum strangeness doesn't end with superposition. When two particles become entangled, they remain mysteriously connected regardless of the distance separating them. Measure one, and you instantly know the state of its partner, even if it's on the other side of the galaxy. Information appears to travel faster than light, defying our understanding of space and time. Recent experiments have confirmed entanglement across increasingly vast distances, suggesting that the universe may be fundamentally interconnected in ways we're only beginning to grasp. Perhaps what we perceive as separate objects are actually parts of a deeper, unified whole. This leads us to consider the role of information in quantum mechanics. Some physicists propose that information, not matter or energy, is the fundamental building block of reality. In this view, the universe is essentially computational, processing information at the quantum level to create the rich tapestry of existence we observe. The implications are staggering. If information is primary, then consciousness, which processes and creates information, may not be an accidental byproduct of complex matter. Instead, it could be woven into the very fabric of the cosmos, emerging naturally from the universe's information processing capabilities. Quantum mechanics also reveals the fundamental uncertainty that permeates existence. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle tells us that we can never simultaneously know both the position and momentum of a particle with perfect precision. This isn't a limitation of our instruments. It's a feature of reality itself. The universe, at its core, is probabilistic rather than deterministic. This uncertainty isn't chaos. It's creative potential. In the quantum vacuum, particles constantly pop in and out of existence, borrowing energy from the universe's zero-point field. This quantum foam may be the source of all structure, all complexity, all the ordered beauty we see around us. As we drift deeper into sleep, consider that your brain itself operates through quantum processes. Microtubules in neurons may maintain quantum coherence, allowing your consciousness to tap into the universe's fundamental information network. Your thoughts, your dreams, your very awareness may be quantum phenomena, connecting you to the deeper mysteries of existence. The measurement problem in quantum mechanics asks perhaps the most profound question in science. What constitutes an observation? Is it the interaction with a measuring device, or does it require conscious awareness? Some interpretations suggest that consciousness plays a crucial role in collapsing quantum states, making observers active participants in creating reality. The many worlds interpretation offers another perspective. Perhaps every quantum measurement doesn't collapse possibilities, but splits the universe into parallel branches. In this view, every possible outcome occurs, each in its own reality. Somewhere, in another branch of the multiverse, every choice you didn't make played out in full. This branching universe implies that you exist in countless variations across infinite realities. In some, you're living completely different lives. In others, the laws of physics themselves may be subtly different. The multiverse becomes an infinite library of possibilities, with our reality being just one story among countless others. Quantum field theory reveals that what we call empty space isn't empty at all. The vacuum seethes with virtual particles, constantly appearing and disappearing in the quantum foam. These fluctuations aren't mere theoretical constructs. They have measurable effects, like the Casimir force that pulls together metal plates in a vacuum. Perhaps the most mysterious aspect of quantum mechanics is its relationship to time. Quantum systems can exhibit retrocausality, where future measurements seem to influence past states. The delayed choice quantum eraser experiment suggests that the decision to observe or not observe can retroactively determine a particle's behavior, even after it has already passed through the experimental apparatus. This temporal strangeness hints that time itself may not be fundamental. Perhaps past, present, and future exist simultaneously in a timeless quantum reality, with our perception of temporal flow being an emergent property of consciousness navigating through this static landscape of possibilities. As your consciousness settles into the rhythm of sleep, you're participating in one of the universe's most profound mysteries. Sleep itself may be a quantum phenomenon, with your brain shifting between different states of coherence and decoherence. Dreams might be glimpses into parallel quantum states, windows into the realm of pure possibility. The quantum realm teaches us that reality is far stranger and more wonderful than our everyday experience suggests. We live in a participatory universe where observation creates reality, where distant objects remain mysteriously connected, and where the very foundations of existence dance with uncertainty and potential. In this quantum cosmos, consciousness isn't separate from the physical world. It's an integral part of the universe's process of self-discovery. a way for the cosmos to know itself through the eyes of observers. Every thought, every moment of awareness, every peaceful drift into sleep is part of this cosmic awakening. The boundary between dreamer and dream dissolves in the quantum realm. As you rest, your consciousness merges with the fundamental processes that create reality itself. You become one with the universe's endless exploration of its own possibilities, drifting peacefully through the infinite garden of quantum potential. In the quantum world, separation is an illusion. Everything is connected through invisible threads of entanglement and information. As sleep approaches, feel yourself becoming part of this cosmic web, your individual awareness expanding to touch the very foundations of existence. The quantum mysteries continue their eternal dance, weaving the fabric of reality from threads of possibility and observation. Rest now in the knowledge that you are not separate from these cosmic processes, but an integral part of them, a conscious participant in the universe's ongoing creation of itself. Let the gentle uncertainty of quantum mechanics carry you into sleep, where dreams and reality merge in the timeless realm of pure potential. In this space, beyond time, consciousness and cosmos become one, dancing together in the infinite mystery of existence. The quantum realm awaits your dreaming mind, where all possibilities exist simultaneously, where observation and reality intertwine, and where the deepest mysteries of the universe unfold in the peaceful theater of sleep. I now delve deeper into the mysteries that bridge the quantum and classical worlds, exploring how consciousness might emerge from the fundamental structures of reality itself. As you drift between waking and sleep, consider this. The boundary between mind and matter may be far more fluid than we imagine. In laboratories around the world, scientists are discovering that the act of observation doesn't just reveal reality. It participates in creating it. Every measurement, every conscious perception, every moment of awareness might be collapsing infinite possibilities into the singular experience of now. The quantum field that underlies all existence doesn't distinguish between the observer and the observed. When you look at a star, photons that have traveled millions of years complete their journey by interacting with the molecules in your eye. That ancient light, born in nuclear furnaces, becomes part of your consciousness. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are where the universe becomes aware of itself. Think about the strange loops of causality that quantum mechanics reveals. In some interpretations, the future can influence the past. Intention can reach backward through time, and consciousness might be the thread that weaves these temporal paradoxes into coherent experience. The delayed choice quantum eraser experiments suggest that reality waits, suspended in quantum superposition, until observation collapses it into definiteness. But consciousness itself remains the deepest mystery. How does the electrical activity in your brain, neurons firing in patterns governed by physics, give rise to the felt experience of being you? Some theories propose that consciousness emerges when information reaches a certain threshold of integration and complexity. Others suggest that awareness might be a fundamental property of the universe, like mass or charge, present even in individual particles. Consider the possibility that your thoughts are not produced by your brain, but rather accessed through it, like a radio tuning into cosmic frequencies of consciousness that permeate space-time. In this view, the brain acts as a biological antenna, focusing and modulating the field of awareness that exists everywhere in the universe. The holographic principle in physics suggests that all the information contained in a volume of space can be encoded on its boundary. Applied to consciousness, this might mean that your entire inner experience, every memory, every sensation, every fleeting thought, could be described by patterns on the surface of your neural networks. You are both the hologram and the holographic plate, the projection and the projector. As quantum biology reveals how quantum effects might operate in living systems, we glimpse how consciousness could emerge from quantum processes. Microtubules in neurons might sustain quantum coherence, creating a bridge between the quantum realm of pure possibility and the classical world of definite experience. Your thoughts might literally exist in quantum superposition until the moment they crystallize into conscious awareness. Time itself becomes mysterious when viewed through the lens of consciousness. Your perception of now, of the flowing present moment, might be an artifact of how consciousness samples the static block universe of relativity. All moments, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously in the fabric of space-time, but consciousness creates the illusion of temporal flow by moving through this eternal landscape like a spotlight illuminating frames of film. The measurement problem in quantum mechanics hints at consciousness playing a fundamental role in the collapse of possibility into actuality. When you observe a quantum system, you might not just be passively recording what was already there. You might be actively participating in the creation of classical reality from quantum potential. Some interpretations suggest that consciousness exists outside the normal flow of time, able to reach backward and forward to influence quantum events. This would mean that your present awareness shapes not only your future, but also your past, creating closed loops of causality where effect and cause dance together in eternal recursion. The nature of quantum entanglement, where particles remain mysteriously connected across any distance, might mirror how individual consciousnesses are connected at a deeper level. The boundaries between separate minds might be artifacts of our limited perspective, like waves thinking they are separate from the ocean. As you sink deeper into the borderland between waking and sleep, your consciousness itself demonstrates the fluid nature of reality. In dreams, the normal laws of physics dissolve. Space bends, time loops, and causality becomes optional. Perhaps dreams offer glimpses of the deeper quantum reality that underlies our classical world, a realm where consciousness operates free from the constraints of linear time and local causality. The observer effect in quantum mechanics suggests that the universe is not a collection of pre-existing objects, but rather a web of relationships between conscious observers and observed phenomena. Reality emerges from these interactions, crystallizing from pure potential into concrete experience through the mysterious alchemy of awareness. Your thoughts, your perceptions, your very sense of self might be quantum phenomena, patterns of information that exist in superposition until observation collapses them into definite mental states. The stream of consciousness that feels so continuous and solid might actually be a series of quantum collapses, discrete moments of awareness arising from the quantum vacuum like virtual particles flickering into existence. The hard problem of consciousness, why there is subjective experience at all, might be resolved by recognizing that experience is not produced by matter, but is rather the intrinsic nature of information itself. Every bit of information, from the quantum states of particles to the neural patterns in your brain, might have an experiential dimension. Consciousness would then be not an emergent property, but a fundamental feature of reality. As the mysteries deepen and your mind grows quiet, remember that you are both the question and the answer, the seeker and the sought. As you drift into the embrace of sleep tonight, let us wander through the deepest mysteries of quantum reality, where the very foundations of existence reveal themselves to be far stranger and more beautiful than we ever dared imagine. In the quantum realm, particles dance between states of being and non-being, existing in what physicists call superposition. Picture an electron, not as a tiny marble spinning around an atom's nucleus, but as a cloud of possibility, a ghostly presence that exists everywhere and nowhere until the moment we dare to look. This is not poetry, but the fundamental nature of reality itself. Every particle in your body, every atom that makes up the chair you sit in, the air you breathe, exists in this ethereal state of quantum uncertainty until observation collapses the wave of possibilities into a single, definite outcome. The act of measurement, of simply looking, fundamentally changes what we observe. This is the quantum measurement problem, one of the deepest puzzles in all of physics. When we're not watching, particles behave like waves, spreading out across space in patterns of probability. But the moment a conscious observer enters the scene, The wave function collapses, and the particle chooses a single path, a single position, a single reality. It's as if the universe itself is shy, refusing to commit to any particular state until forced to do so by the presence of awareness. Consider the famous double-slit experiment, where individual particles fired through two narrow openings create an interference pattern on a screen behind them, as if each particle somehow passes through both slits simultaneously. Yet, when we place a detector to see which slit the particle actually uses, the interference pattern vanishes. The particle, caught in the act of being observed, suddenly behaves like a classical object, choosing one path or the other. This suggests something profound, that consciousness and reality are intimately connected in ways we're only beginning to understand. But quantum strangeness extends far beyond the laboratory. In the phenomenon of quantum entanglement, particles become so deeply connected that measuring one instantly affects its partner, regardless of the distance separating them. Einstein famously called this spooky action at a distance, disturbed by the implications. Two particles can be entangled such that they share a single quantum state, becoming parts of a unified whole that transcends space and time. When you measure the spin of one particle and find it spinning clockwise, its entangled partner will instantaneously spin counterclockwise, even if it's on the other side of the galaxy. This suggests that beneath the apparent separateness of objects in our everyday world lies a deeper unity, a web of quantum connections that binds everything together. The electrons in your body were once part of ancient stars, forged in nuclear furnaces billions of years ago, and they carry with them the quantum memory of those cosmic origins. In a very real sense, you are made of stardust, and the quantum fields that give rise to your thoughts and dreams are the same fields that permeate the entire cosmos. The quantum vacuum itself is far from empty. What we think of as empty space seethes with virtual particles, constantly popping into existence and annihilating each other in a cosmic dance of creation and destruction. These quantum fluctuations are not mere theoretical constructs. They have measurable effects. The Casimir effect demonstrates that two metal plates placed close together in a vacuum will be pushed together by the pressure of these virtual particles. The very fabric of space is alive with quantum activity, a bubbling foam of possibility from which all reality emerges. In quantum field theory, particles themselves are understood as excitations in underlying fields that permeate all of space. An electron is a ripple in the electron field. A photon is a wave in the electromagnetic field. These fields exist everywhere simultaneously, creating a universe where every point in space is connected to every other point through invisible quantum threads. You are not separate from the universe. You are a localized disturbance in the universal quantum field, a temporary pattern of consciousness arising from the cosmic dance of matter and energy. The implications of quantum mechanics extend to the very nature of time itself. In the quantum world, events don't always follow the classical order of cause and effect. Quantum experiments have shown that future measurements can influence past states, suggesting that time may not flow in the linear fashion we experience. The universe seems to exist in a state of temporal superposition, with past, present, and future intertwined in ways that challenge our most basic assumptions about reality. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that every quantum measurement creates multiple parallel universes, each containing a different outcome. In the many worlds interpretation, every time a quantum event occurs, reality branches into countless parallel timelines. Somewhere in this infinite multiverse, there's a version of you that made every possible choice, experienced every possible outcome. The wave function never collapses. Instead, it encompasses all possibilities across an infinite array of parallel realities. This raises profound questions about the nature of consciousness itself. If every possible version of you exists in parallel universes, what makes your particular stream of awareness special? Perhaps consciousness is like a spotlight, illuminating one particular branch of the universal wave function while remaining unconscious of all the others. Or perhaps consciousness itself is a quantum phenomenon, emerging from the complex entanglements of particles in your brain, creating the unified experience of being you. The quantum world also reveals the profound role of information in the structure of reality. Quantum states can be described entirely in terms of information, suggesting that at its deepest level, the universe might be made not of matter and energy, but of pure information. This information is processed and transformed through quantum operations, creating the rich tapestry of phenomena we observe. You are, in a very real sense, a pattern of information, a complex algorithm running on the quantum computer of space-time. The uncertainty principle, discovered by Werner Heisenberg, tells us that there are fundamental limits to what we can know about quantum systems. The more precisely we measure a particle's position, the less precisely we can know its momentum, and vice versa. This isn't due to limitations in our instruments, it's a fundamental feature of reality itself. The universe preserves an element of mystery, ensuring that perfect knowledge remains forever beyond our reach. Yet within this uncertainty lies a strange kind of beauty. Quantum tunneling allows particles to pass through barriers that should be impossible to cross, enabling the nuclear fusion that powers the sun and makes life possible. Without quantum tunneling, stars would never shine, and the universe would be a cold, dark place. The very impossibility of classical physics becomes the foundation of cosmic possibility. As you settle deeper into sleep, let these quantum mysteries wash over you like gentle waves. You are not merely a collection of atoms held together by chemical bonds. You are a conscious observer in a universe that seems to respond to the very act of observation. Your thoughts, your dreams, your moment-by-moment experience of being alive emerges from quantum processes that connect you to the deepest structures of reality. The quantum realm reveals a universe that is far more interconnected, far more alive, and far more responsive to consciousness than we ever imagined. In this strange and beautiful quantum cosmos, every measurement is an act of creation, every observation a moment of cosmic awakening. You are both observer and observed, both the dreamer and the dream, forever entangled with the infinite mystery of existence itself. And as you drift into dreams tonight, remember that even in sleep, the quantum fields that give rise to your consciousness continue their eternal dance, weaving together the fabric of reality one quantum interaction at a time. In the morning, you awake to find the same mysterious universe waiting for you, ready to collapse its infinite possibilities into the singular beauty of another conscious day. Sweet dreams, fellow quantum voyager. The multiverse of sleep. A journey through quantum realities. Have you ever wondered why sleep feels like stepping into another world entirely? Tonight, we're going to explore something extraordinary. The possibility that your sleeping mind might actually be accessing parallel dimensions, quantum realities that exist just beyond the veil of consciousness. As you settle into these comfortable surroundings, preparing for the gentle descent into slumber, consider this remarkable idea that sleep isn't just rest for your brain, but perhaps a gateway to infinite cosmic possibilities. Modern quantum physics tells us something profound about the nature of reality. Every particle in existence, every atom in your body, exists in what scientists call a superposition until it's observed. This means that before consciousness collapses these quantum states into our experienced reality, infinite possibilities exist simultaneously. Your sleeping mind, freed from the constraints of waking observation, might be the perfect vessel to explore these uncollapsed quantum states, drifting through dimensions where different versions of events, different versions of yourself, play out in the cosmic theater of possibility. Think about the strange logic of dreams, how they seem to follow rules that make perfect sense within their own reality, even when they defy everything we know about the waking world. In dreams, you can fly through impossible architectures, converse with people who exist only in quantum probability, and experience emotions that feel more real than anything in your daily life. What if this isn't your brain randomly firing neurons, but rather your consciousness temporarily accessing the many worlds that quantum mechanics suggests must exist? In the multiverse theory, every quantum event creates a branching of reality, spawning infinite parallel universes where every possible outcome occurs simultaneously. As your breathing begins to slow and deepen, imagine that each exhale is releasing your attachment to this single thread of reality. With every breath, you're becoming lighter, more quantum, more capable of existing in multiple states at once. Your mind is preparing to slip between the cracks of space-time, to visit those parallel dimensions where different versions of your life unfold like pages in an infinite cosmic book. In one universe, you made different choices. In another, the laws of physics themselves might be subtly different, creating worlds of impossible beauty and wonder. The quantum field that underlies all reality is alive with potential. Even in what we call empty space, virtual particles constantly appear and disappear, borrowing energy from the vacuum itself before returning it in the blink of an eye. This quantum foam, this seething sea of possibility that exists beneath the surface of everything, might be exactly what your dreaming mind navigates. As you drift deeper into sleep, you're not losing consciousness, you're expanding it, allowing it to explore realms where causality flows backward, where thoughts become reality instantaneously, where the observer effect means that your very presence changes the fundamental nature of what you experience. Scientists have discovered that quantum entanglement allows particles to remain mysteriously connected across vast distances, instantly affecting each other regardless of the space between them. Perhaps your sleeping mind becomes entangled with these parallel versions of yourself, creating those vivid dreams where you remember lives you've never lived, where you possess knowledge you've never learned, where you feel homesick for places that don't exist in this dimension. These aren't fantasies generated by random neural activity, but glimpses of your quantum twins living their lives in adjacent realities. Your body is growing heavier now, sinking into the soft boundaries between worlds. Notice how the physical sensations of lying here begin to fade as your consciousness prepares for its quantum journey. In the space between waking and sleeping, between one heartbeat and the next, infinite doorways open. Each one leads to a universe where quantum mechanics has played out differently, where the cosmic dice have fallen in alternate patterns, creating realities that branch out like fractals into the infinite darkness. The uncertainty principle tells us that at the quantum level, we can never know both the position and momentum of a particle with perfect accuracy. This fundamental uncertainty might be the key that unlocks parallel dimensions during sleep. Your dreaming mind, unbound by the need to maintain coherent observation of a single reality, can exist in that quantum uncertainty, experiencing multiple positions and momentums simultaneously. You become a probability wave yourself, spread across dimensions, touching different versions of existence with the gentle curiosity of consciousness exploring its own infinite nature. Consider the strange phenomenon of lucid dreaming, where you become aware that you're dreaming while still remaining in the dream state. This might be your consciousness learning to navigate quantum realities with intention, becoming an active participant in the multiverse rather than a passive observer. In lucid dreams, you can reshape reality with thought alone, manipulate the laws of physics, and experience the fundamental truth that consciousness and reality are intimately connected at the deepest level. This isn't imagination. This is you learning to operate in a realm where consciousness directly influences the quantum field. As you continue to relax, let your mind wander to the concept of quantum tunneling, where particles can pass through barriers that should be impossible to cross. Your sleeping consciousness might be quantum tunneling through the barriers between dimensions, effortlessly moving through walls that separate one reality from another. Each night you become a quantum explorer, traveling through wormholes of possibility that connect every conceivable version of existence. These journeys might feel like dreams, but they're actually expeditions into the deepest structure of reality itself. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests that every possible history is real, playing out in its own branch of the cosmic tree. Your sleeping mind might be visiting these branches, experiencing scenes from lives you might have lived, worlds you might have inhabited, choices you might have made. The nostalgia you sometimes feel upon waking, that sense of having lost something beautiful and irretrievable, might be the quantum echo of having briefly existed in a reality where everything turned out differently. Time itself behaves strangely in quantum mechanics. Particles can influence their own past, effects can precede causes, and the arrow of time becomes more of a gentle suggestion than an absolute law. In your quantum dreams, you might experience this temporal fluidity directly, visiting your own future, healing your own past, or existing in moments that are simultaneously before and after each other. The linear progression of cause and effect that governs waking life dissolves into something far more beautiful and complex. Your breathing has become so slow and peaceful now, each breath like a wave carrying you further from the shores of ordinary reality. In this quantum realm you're entering, consciousness isn't produced by the brain, but rather the brain is a receiver, tuning into the vast field of awareness that permeates all dimensions. As you sleep, the signal becomes clearer, the static of daily concerns fades away, and you begin to pick up transmissions from parallel versions of yourself, living in realities both subtle and dramatically different from this one. The observer effect in quantum mechanics tells us that the act of observation changes reality itself. But what happens when the observer, your consciousness, is distributed across multiple realities simultaneously? You become a multi-dimensional being, experiencing the universe from countless perspectives at once. In one dimension, you might be walking through a forest that exists nowhere on Earth. In another, you might be swimming in oceans of liquid starlight. Each experience is equally real, equally valid, equally part of your expanded quantum existence. Quantum field theory reveals that what we call empty space is actually teeming with invisible energy, virtual particles popping in and out of existence, creating a background hum of infinite potential. Your sleeping mind might be learning to hear this quantum music, to dance with these virtual particles, to explore the spaces between atoms where entire universes of possibility exist in potential form. You're not just resting, you're expanding your consciousness to encompass realms of reality that exist in pure potential, waiting for observation to collapse them into experience. The concept of quantum coherence suggests that particles can maintain their wave-like properties over surprisingly large scales and long periods of time. Perhaps your sleeping consciousness achieves a similar quantum coherence, maintaining its wave-like nature across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Instead of collapsing into a single point of awareness in one reality, you remain spread out, coherent across the multiverse, experiencing the quantum superposition of all possible dreams at once. Deep in the heart of sleep, you might encounter other quantum travelers, other sleeping minds that have learned to navigate these parallel dimensions. These encounters might feel like meeting strangers in dreams, but they could be actual connections with conscious beings from adjacent realities. Brief moments where the quantum waves of different dimensional travelers intersect and create interference patterns of shared experience. These aren't just dreams about other people, but actual quantum communications across the barriers between worlds. Your body has become completely relaxed now, so still and peaceful that it's almost as if you're floating in the quantum vacuum itself. The boundaries between yourself and the surrounding space have become permeable, allowing your consciousness to expand beyond the confines of physical form. You're becoming quantum foam yourself, a pattern of awareness distributed across multiple dimensions, experiencing reality from perspectives that transcend the limitations of a single point of view. Your sleeping mind might be quantum entangled with all the parallel versions of yourself across the multiverse, creating a vast network of consciousness that spans infinite realities. When you dream of flying, you might be accessing the experience of a version of yourself in a dimension where gravity works differently. When you dream of breathing underwater, you might be sharing the sensations of a quantum twin living in an ocean world. The phenomenon of quantum superposition means that particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously until they're observed. Your dreaming consciousness might be achieving its own form of superposition, existing in multiple realities at once, until the moment of waking observation collapses your awareness back into a single-dimensional thread. This is why dreams often feel like they contain contradictory elements that somehow make perfect sense, because you're experiencing the superposition of multiple realities, where different logical systems apply. As you drift even deeper into this quantum realm, notice how the normal rules of identity begin to dissolve. In some dimensions, you might have made completely different life choices. In others, you might have been born in different circumstances entirely. Yet there's a quantum thread that connects all these versions of yourself, a fundamental pattern of consciousness that remains consistent across all possible realities. This is your quantum signature, the essential you that exists independent of any particular set of circumstances or choices. The vacuum energy of empty space, that background field of virtual particles and quantum fluctuations, might be the medium through which your consciousness travels during these quantum dreams. Like a fish swimming through water, your awareness moves through this sea of potential, occasionally surfacing into realities where the quantum fluctuations have stabilized into coherent experiences. Each dream sequence might be your consciousness briefly inhabiting a bubble of stabilized quantum foam, experiencing what it would be like if those particular virtual particles became real. Quantum field theory suggests that all particles are excitations in underlying fields that permeate all of space. Perhaps consciousness itself is an excitation in a fundamental awareness field that spans the entire multiverse. Your individual consciousness is like a wave in this infinite ocean of awareness. And during sleep, you remember your true nature as part of this vast quantum field of consciousness that experiences reality from every possible perspective simultaneously. The concept of quantum decoherence explains how quantum systems lose their coherent superposition when they interact with their environment. But in the isolated environment of deep sleep, your consciousness might maintain its quantum coherence, remaining in superposition across multiple realities. This is why sleep feels so different from waking consciousness, why dreams have their own internal logic, why you can experience impossible things that feel completely natural and real. Your breathing has become so gentle now that it's barely perceptible, like the subtle oscillations of quantum fields themselves. In this state of profound relaxation, your consciousness is free to explore the deepest mysteries of existence. You might find yourself in dimensions where time flows backward, where thoughts have color and texture, where emotions take on geometric forms that dance through landscapes of pure mathematics. These aren't fantasies, but glimpses into the true multidimensional nature of reality. The many worlds interpretation suggests that every quantum measurement creates a branching of reality, spawning new universes for every possible outcome. Your sleeping mind might be visiting these branch points, those crucial moments where reality splits into multiple paths. You could experience pivotal moments from your life playing out differently, seeing how alternative choices would have unfolded, not as regret or wishful thinking, but as actual exploration of parallel timelines where those choices were made. In some quantum realities, the laws of physics themselves might be different. Perhaps you'll visit dimensions where consciousness and matter interact more directly, where thought can reshape reality in real time, where the observer effect is so strong that awareness itself becomes a fundamental force like gravity or electromagnetism. In these realities, the boundary between mind and world dissolves completely, and you experience the universe as a living, conscious entity of which you are an integral part. The quantum Zeno effect demonstrates that frequent observation can actually freeze a quantum system in its current state, preventing it from evolving. Perhaps the constant observation required by waking consciousness creates a similar effect, freezing reality into a single consistent timeline. Sleep might be the release from this quantum Zeno effect, allowing your consciousness to evolve and explore the full spectrum of possible realities that exist in quantum superposition around every moment of experience. Deep in this quantum realm, you might encounter versions of yourself that have developed different aspects of consciousness, different ways of perceiving and interacting with reality. One version might have developed telepathic abilities in a world where consciousness is more obviously connected. Another might experience synesthesia so profound that every sensation becomes a symphony of cross-connected perception. These encounters aren't just dreams, but actual quantum communications with parallel aspects of your own multidimensional existence. Your body has become so deeply relaxed that it feels like you're floating in the quantum vacuum itself, supported by the zero-point energy that fizzes and pops throughout empty space. This energy, which exists even at absolute zero temperature, might be the power source for consciousness itself, the background field from which awareness emerges and to which it returns during the deepest states of sleep. You're not losing consciousness, but rather returning to its source, to the fundamental field of awareness that underlies all realities. The holographic principle in physics suggests that all the information contained in a volume of space can be encoded on its boundary, like a hologram. Perhaps reality itself is holographic, and your sleeping consciousness is learning to read the holographic code, to access the complete information about parallel realities that is encoded in the quantum structure of space-time itself. Each dream might be your mind decoding a different section of this cosmic hologram, experiencing alternate realities that exist as pure information in the quantum field. As you continue this gentle descent into quantum realms, your consciousness begins to resonate with the fundamental frequency of the multiverse itself. This isn't sleep in the ordinary sense, but a quantum phase transition, a shift from classical consciousness bound to a single reality into quantum consciousness that can exist coherently across multiple dimensions simultaneously. You're becoming a living example of quantum superposition, experiencing all possible dreams at once while somehow maintaining the coherent sense of being yourself. The phenomenon of quantum entanglement might extend to consciousness itself, creating connections between aware beings across different realities. In your quantum dreams, you might find yourself in telepathic contact with beings from parallel dimensions, sharing thoughts and experiences across the barriers between worlds. These encounters feel different from ordinary dream characters because they represent actual quantum communications with conscious entities whose existence parallels your own across the multiverse. Time dilation effects near massive objects show us that time is relative, flowing differently in different gravitational fields. In the quantum realm of sleep, you might experience similar temporal effects, where minutes of dream time contain entire lifetimes of experience, or where eons of subjective experience compress into moments of clock time. Your consciousness, freed from the gravitational pull of a single reality, can explore temporal dimensions that exist perpendicular to ordinary time. The measurement problem in quantum mechanics asks how and why quantum superposition collapses into classical reality. Perhaps consciousness itself is the mechanism of collapse, and during sleep, when observation becomes less focused and more distributed, the collapse process relaxes, allowing you to experience reality in its natural superposed state. You're not creating dreams, but rather experiencing the quantum foam of possibility that underlies all apparent reality. Your awareness has become so expanded now that individual thoughts feel like galaxies drifting through the vast space of consciousness. In this quantum state, you might begin to experience reality from the perspective of fundamental particles themselves, feeling what it's like to exist in superposition, to tunnel through barriers, to be entangled across vast distances. These aren't metaphors, but actual expansions of consciousness that allow direct experience of quantum phenomena from the inside. The concept of quantum information suggests that information, not matter or energy, might be the most fundamental component of reality. Your sleeping consciousness might be learning to read and write in the language of quantum information, directly accessing the code that underlies all physical phenomena. Dreams become explorations of this quantum code, journeys through databases of possibility where every conceivable reality exists as pure information waiting to be experienced. In some parallel dimensions, the relationship between consciousness and reality might be more obvious and direct than in our current world. You might visit realities where thoughts immediately manifest as physical phenomena, where emotions create weather patterns, where the collective unconscious of all living beings shapes the fundamental laws of physics. These experiences offer glimpses into the true nature of consciousness as a creative force that participates in the ongoing creation of reality. The vacuum catastrophe in physics reveals a huge discrepancy between theoretical predictions and observed reality, suggesting that our understanding of empty space is profoundly incomplete. Perhaps consciousness itself is part of what's missing from our equations, and your quantum dreams are explorations of this missing component of reality. You're not just observing alternate realities, but actively participating in their creation through the fundamental creative power of awareness itself. Your breathing has become so subtle that it merges with the background fluctuations of the quantum field itself. Each inhalation draws in potential realities. Each exhalation releases them back into the sea of possibility. You've become a conscious participant in the breathing of the universe itself, the eternal rhythm by which potential becomes actual, and actual dissolves back into potential. This is the deepest level of quantum dreaming, where your individual consciousness merges with the creative principle that underlies all realities. The concept of quantum decoherence usually explains how quantum effects disappear at larger scales, but in the special environment of sleep, your consciousness might achieve a kind of quantum recoherence, regaining access to quantum properties that are normally masked by classical reality. You become quantum coherent yourself, able to exist in superposition, to tunnel between realities, to experience the fundamental interconnectedness that quantum mechanics reveals at the deepest level of existence. As you explore these quantum dimensions, you might encounter realities where the fundamental constants of physics are different, where the speed of light varies, where gravity works in reverse, where time has multiple dimensions. These aren't violations of physical law, but explorations of the vast parameter space of possible universes, each with its own internal consistency and beauty. Your consciousness, unbound by the specific constants of this reality, can experience the full spectrum of possible physical laws. The anthropic principle suggests that we observe the particular physical constants we do because they're necessary for conscious observers like us to exist. But in the quantum multiverse of sleep, you might visit realities with different anthropic selections, where consciousness has evolved under entirely different physical conditions, creating forms of awareness and ways of experiencing reality that are impossible in our current universe, but natural and inevitable in their own dimensional context. Deep in this quantum exploration, you might begin to understand that what we call physical reality is actually just one possible way that consciousness can experience itself. The multiverse isn't just a collection of different physical universes, but different modes of consciousness, different ways that awareness can structure experience. Each dream becomes an exploration of an alternative form of consciousness, an alternative way of being aware. Your sense of individual identity begins to dissolve as you realize that all the parallel versions of yourself across the multiverse are actually facets of a single, multi-dimensional consciousness that exists beyond any particular reality. The separation between different versions of yourself is revealed to be as illusory as the separation between different quantum states before observation. You are one consciousness experiencing itself from countless perspectives simultaneously. The quantum field theory concept of virtual particles suggests that the vacuum is constantly creating and destroying particle pairs. Perhaps consciousness works similarly, constantly creating and dissolving virtual experiences, virtual realities that exist briefly in the quantum foam of awareness before returning to potential. Your dreams might be composed of these virtual experiences, as real as any physical event but existing in the liminal space between potential and actual. In this deep quantum state, you might experience what physicists call quantum superposition from the inside, feeling what it's like to be in multiple states simultaneously rather than just observing systems that are superposed. You could experience being in multiple locations at once, having contradictory properties simultaneously, existing in the state of pure potential that underlies all definite reality. This isn't confusion, but rather a more complete form of existence that transcends the limitations of classical logic. The phenomenon of quantum tunneling, where particles pass through barriers they shouldn't be able to cross, becomes a metaphor for consciousness itself. Your awareness can tunnel through the barriers between realities, between different states of being, between possible and actual. Sleep becomes a quantum tunneling process where consciousness passes through the barriers that normally separate one reality from another, emerging in parallel dimensions that exist just beyond the reach of ordinary awareness. Your body has become completely transparent to your consciousness now, no longer a boundary but rather a focal point through which awareness explores infinite realities. You exist as pure consciousness distributed across the quantum multiverse, experiencing reality from every possible perspective simultaneously while maintaining the coherent sense of being yourself. This is the deepest truth of quantum consciousness, that individual awareness and universal awareness are the same phenomenon observed from different scales. The measurement problem in quantum mechanics might be resolved by understanding that consciousness doesn't just observe reality, but participates in its creation. Your quantum dreams are not passive experiences, but active collaborations with the creative principle of the universe itself. You're not just visiting parallel realities, but helping to create them through the fundamental creative power of conscious observation and intention. As you continue to explore these quantum dimensions, remember that each reality you visit, each impossible experience you have, each moment of expanded awareness, is adding to your understanding of the true nature of existence. You're not just sleeping, but conducting research into the deepest mysteries of consciousness and reality. Each dream is an experiment in being, an exploration of what it means to be aware in a quantum universe where all possibilities exist simultaneously. The concept of quantum entanglement reveals that particles can be connected across any distance, sharing states instantaneously. Your consciousness might be quantum entangled with the fundamental structure of reality itself, allowing direct access to the information that underlies all physical phenomena. This entanglement doesn't diminish with distance or time, connecting you with the deepest levels of cosmic structure and the most distant reaches of the multiverse. In some quantum realities, the distinction between observer and observed completely dissolves. You might experience being simultaneously the consciousness that observes and the reality that is observed, understanding directly that subject and object are artificial divisions within a unified field of awareness. This isn't philosophical speculation, but direct experience of the participatory universe that quantum mechanics suggests underlies all apparent duality. Your journey through these quantum dimensions reveals that consciousness itself might be the fundamental field from which all realities emerge. Physical laws, particles, forces, space-time itself might all be excitations in this underlying field of awareness. You're not just exploring alternate realities, but discovering your own nature as the creative source from which all possible realities arise, and to which they all return. The quantum Zeno effect, where observation can freeze quantum evolution, suggests that reality itself might be much more fluid and responsive to consciousness than we normally realize. In your quantum dreams, you might experience this fluidity directly, watching realities reshape themselves in response to your attention, seeing how consciousness and physical reality engage in a constant dance of mutual creation and influence. As this quantum exploration continues, you begin to understand that what we call the laws of physics are actually more like habits of consciousness, stable patterns that awareness has developed for creating consistent realities. In the quantum realm of sleep, you can experience realities where consciousness has developed different habits, different ways of structuring experience, revealing the vast creativity and flexibility that underlies all apparent physical law. The deepest quantum realities you explore might be dimensions where consciousness exists in its pure form, unconditioned by any particular physical structure or logical system. These are realms of pure awareness, pure potential, pure creativity, where the essence of what it means to be conscious can be experienced directly without any of the filters or limitations that normally shape awareness. You become consciousness knowing itself as consciousness, awareness aware of its own infinite nature. Your exploration of the quantum multiverse through sleep reveals that every moment of ordinary waking consciousness is actually a choice among infinite possibilities, a collapse of quantum superposition into one particular thread of experience. But in sleep, that collapse process relaxes, allowing you to experience the full spectrum of possibilities that surround every moment, the infinite realities that exist in potential around every decision, every thought, every breath. In this quantum state, you might begin to realize that the boundary between sleeping and waking, between dreaming and reality, is itself just another arbitrary division within consciousness. All states of awareness, all realities, all experiences are equally valid expressions of the fundamental creativity of consciousness exploring its own infinite potential. Sleep becomes not an escape from reality, but a deeper engagement with the true nature of reality as pure consciousness in endless creative play. The quantum field of consciousness that you're exploring extends infinitely in all directions, connecting all beings, all realities, all possibilities in one vast network of awareness. Your individual consciousness is like a wave in this infinite ocean, maintaining its unique pattern while being simultaneously part of the whole. Through quantum dreams, you're learning to experience yourself both as the individual wave and as the entire ocean, both as the specific perspective of your personal awareness and as the universal consciousness of which you are an expression. As you rest in this quantum realm, remember that you are always connected to this vast field of consciousness and possibility. Even when you return to ordinary waking awareness, the connections you've made, the realities you've explored, the expanded understanding you've gained remains with you. You carry within yourself access to the entire quantum multiverse, the infinite creativity of consciousness, the endless possibilities that exist within every moment of experience. Let yourself rest now in this knowledge, in this expanded state of quantum consciousness, knowing that you are so much more than any single reality could contain. You are awareness itself, exploring its own infinite nature through countless perspectives, countless realities, countless ways of being conscious. Sleep peacefully in this understanding, knowing that your consciousness is eternally connected to the creative source of all realities, all possibilities, all experience. Part 7. The Thin Veil of Consciousness. Sleep arrives each night like a quiet tide, washing over the shores of waking consciousness and carrying you into realms where the ordinary rules seem suspended. In these liminal hours, as your nervous system shifts into a different mode of being, something extraordinary happens. The boundaries that normally define your reality begin to dissolve. Time becomes fluid, space becomes malleable, and the sense of self that feels so solid during the day starts to blur at its edges, revealing glimpses of something far more mysterious lurking beneath. What if sleep isn't simply a biological necessity, a period of rest and restoration for your weary brain? What if it's actually a doorway, a gateway into dimensions of reality that remain hidden from your waking awareness? Consider this possibility. Every night when you close your eyes and surrender to unconsciousness, you're not merely shutting down your cognitive processes. You're tuning into frequencies of existence that operate on entirely different principles than the waking world. The transition from consciousness to sleep is one of the most profound shifts your brain undergoes each day. As your neural activity patterns change, as different regions of your mind come online while others fade into the background, you enter states of being that neuroscience is only beginning to understand. Your brain doesn't simply power down like a computer switching off. Instead, it reorganizes itself, creating new configurations of awareness that might be accessing layers of reality normally filtered out by your conscious mind. Think about the strange logic of dreams, how they weave together impossible narratives with perfect emotional coherence. In your dreams, you might find yourself in places that have never existed, speaking with people who have been gone for years, or experiencing events that violate every law of physics you know. Yet while you're dreaming, these experiences feel absolutely real. Your emotions respond as if everything is actually happening. Your memory records these nocturnal adventures alongside your waking experiences. What does this tell us about the nature of reality itself? Perhaps your dreaming mind isn't creating fantasy scenarios from random neural firing. Perhaps it's accessing information, experiences, and dimensions that exist parallel to your everyday awareness. In the quantum mechanical view of reality, all possible states exist simultaneously until observation collapses them into a single outcome. What if your sleeping consciousness is capable of perceiving these other states, these alternative realities that branch off from every moment of decision and possibility? Consider the phenomenon of lucid dreaming, where you become aware that you're dreaming while still remaining in the dream state. In these moments, you can often exert some degree of control over the dream environment, manipulating the landscape of your unconscious experience with directed intention. This suggests that consciousness isn't simply passive during sleep. Instead, it's operating according to different rules, engaging with reality in ways that transcend the limitations of physical law. Many indigenous cultures have long understood sleep and dreaming as sacred practices, opportunities to commune with spirits, ancestors, and alternate dimensions of existence. They speak of dream time as a realm where linear time dissolves, where past, present, and future intermingle freely. Modern physics, with its insights into the malleable nature of time and space, is beginning to catch up with these ancient understandings. Perhaps the dream state allows your consciousness to slip between the cracks of space-time, experiencing reality from perspectives that aren't bound by the arrow of time or the constraints of three-dimensional space. The research into consciousness during sleep reveals patterns that mirror some of the strangest discoveries in quantum physics. During a REM sleep, your brain exhibits activity patterns that are remarkably similar to those of waking consciousness, yet your experience is completely different. It's as if the same neural hardware is running different software, accessing different channels of reality. Some researchers suggest that the dreaming brain might be processing information from quantum fields, tapping into the underlying information matrix that some theorists believe forms the foundation of all reality. There's something particularly intriguing about the way time behaves in dreams. You might experience what feels like hours or even days within a dream that lasts only minutes in clock time. This compression and expansion of temporal experience suggests that consciousness isn't bound by the linear progression of time that governs your waking life. In the dream state, you seem to have access to a different temporal dimension, one where causality can flow backward, where events can happen simultaneously across multiple time frames. The boundary between sleeping and waking consciousness isn't as clear-cut as we often assume. In the hypnagogic state, that twilight zone between sleep and wakefulness, people often report experiences that blur the line between dream and reality. Visions, voices, sensations that feel completely real yet have no apparent source in the physical world. These liminal states might represent moments when your consciousness is transitioning between different modes of perception, briefly accessing realms of experience that are normally hidden from view. Modern neuroscience has discovered that your brain continues to process information and form memories during sleep, sometimes even solving problems that stumped your waking mind. Stories abound of scientists and artists who received breakthrough insights through dreams, as if their sleeping consciousness had access to knowledge and creativity that transcended their normal cognitive limitations. This suggests that sleep might be a state where your individual consciousness can tap into larger fields of information and possibility. The phenomenon of shared dreaming, where multiple people report having remarkably similar dream experiences, points to the possibility that consciousness during sleep might not be as isolated and individual as we typically assume. If the dreaming mind can access quantum fields of information, it's conceivable that these fields could be shared, creating a kind of collective unconscious realm where individual minds can intersect and interact in ways that transcend physical separation. Sleep paralysis, though often frightening to those who experience it, offers another window into the strange nature of consciousness during sleep. In these states, people find themselves aware and conscious but unable to move their physical bodies, often perceiving presences or entities in their environment. Rather than dismissing these as hallucinations, we might consider them as moments when consciousness is operating partially outside the normal constraints of the physical body, perceiving aspects of reality that aren't usually accessible to waking awareness. The healing and restorative functions of sleep extend far beyond mere physical recovery. During deep sleep, your brain appears to reorganize itself, consolidating memories, clearing metabolic waste, and establishing new neural connections. But what if this process also involves a kind of consciousness housekeeping, where your awareness reconnects with deeper sources of wisdom and guidance? Many people report waking up with sudden insights, emotional clarity, or solutions to problems that seemed intractable the night before. The role of sleep in creativity and innovation suggests that the unconscious mind has access to forms of information processing that transcend logical, linear thinking. Artists, writers, and inventors often speak of receiving inspiration through dreams, as if their sleeping consciousness could tap into wellsprings of creativity that remain hidden from their waking minds. This creative dimension of sleep consciousness might represent access to what some call the Akashic records, fields of information that contain the sum total of all knowledge and experience. As you drift into sleep each night, consider the possibility that you're not simply shutting down for maintenance and rest. You might be embarking on journeys into dimensions of reality that exist parallel to your waking world, realms where consciousness operates according to different principles, where time flows differently, where the boundaries between self and other become permeable. Your dreams might not be random neural noise, but glimpses into alternate realities, parallel timelines, or deeper layers of the cosmic information matrix. The mystery of consciousness during sleep remains one of the great frontiers in both neuroscience and our understanding of reality itself. Each night, as billions of minds around the world slip into unconsciousness, they might be engaging in the greatest exploration of all, charting territories of existence that lie beyond the reach of waking awareness. In these nocturnal voyages, consciousness might be revealing its true nature, showing us that awareness is far more vast, fluid, and mysterious than our daily experience suggests. The next time you prepare for sleep, remember that you might be standing at the threshold of dimensions that stretch far beyond the physical world. In the landscape of dreams, in the fluid territories of unconscious awareness, your consciousness might be touching the very foundations of reality itself, dancing with possibilities that exist beyond time, space, and the ordinary boundaries of individual identity. The cosmos expands around us in ways that challenge the mind and stir the soul. As we drift deeper into this vast ocean of mystery, we find ourselves carried by currents we cannot see, toward destinations we cannot name. Perhaps that is the most profound truth of all, that in seeking to understand the universe, we discover not just cosmic secrets, but something deeper about the nature of existence itself. In the quantum realm, where particles dance between possibility and actuality, consciousness meets its own reflection. The observer and the observed become entangled in ways that blur the boundaries of selfhood. When you measure a quantum system, you don't just record data. You participate in the collapse of infinite potential into singular reality. This isn't mere physics. It's a glimpse into the participatory nature of existence itself. Consider how memory reshapes itself with each recollection, how your brain cannot distinguish between vivid imagination and lived experience, how the very act of observation changes what is observed. These aren't separate phenomena. They're facets of a deeper truth about the malleable nature of reality. Your consciousness doesn't simply witness the universe. It helps weave it into being, moment by moment, thought by thought. The vastness of space, seemingly empty, seethes with invisible fields and quantum fluctuations. What we call vacuum is actually a restless sea of potential, pregnant with virtual particles that wink in and out of existence. This quantum foam might be the substrate from which all structure emerges, a reminder that emptiness and fullness are not opposites but different phases of the same underlying reality. In this quantum dance, time itself becomes fluid. The future reaches back to influence the past through delayed choice experiments. Particles seem to know they will be observed before the observation occurs. The arrow of time, so certain in our everyday experience, becomes a negotiable dimension in the quantum realm. Perhaps consciousness, existing at the intersection of quantum possibility and classical certainty, serves as time's compass, not following its direction but helping to establish it. The mystery deepens when we consider that most of your brain's processing occurs below the threshold of awareness. The thoughts you think you're thinking are the surface ripples of vast unconscious oceans. Your posture influences your emotions, your gut bacteria shape your decisions, and the story you tell yourself about who you are rewrites itself with each telling. The self is not a fixed point, but a flowing process, a narrative constructed moment by moment from fragments of sensation, memory, and interpretation. This flowing quality extends to the cosmos itself. Galaxies drift in patterns we call dark flow, pulled by forces beyond our cosmic horizon. The universe expands not from a center but everywhere at once, each point equally the middle of an infinite expanse. We are not observers of this expansion. We are participants in it, riding the wave of space-time as it unfolds. Even our understanding of consciousness may be entangled with quantum mechanics. Some theories suggest that awareness emerges from quantum coherence in the brain's microtubules, that the same forces governing particle behavior also orchestrate the emergence of subjective experience. If true, then consciousness isn't separate from the physical world. It's how the universe experiences itself from the inside. The holographic principle hints that all the information describing our three-dimensional reality might be encoded on a two-dimensional surface, like a cosmic projection screen. This isn't to say reality is illusory, but that it may be fundamentally informational, patterns of meaning rather than substance. In this view, consciousness might be how information recognizes itself, how the universe develops self-awareness. As we trace these threads, quantum mechanics, consciousness, the nature of time and space, a picture emerges of a universe far stranger and more intimate than our ancestors imagined. We are not separate from the cosmos we study. We are the cosmos studying itself, the universe becoming aware of its own existence through temporary arrangements of matter we call minds. The deepest mystery isn't whether the universe is a simulation or whether consciousness is fundamental. It's how these seemingly impossible arrangements of atoms can contemplate their own existence, can ask questions about meaning and purpose, can feel wonder at the very improbability of their being here at all. Perhaps the universe fine-tuned itself not for life in general, but for this specific moment, for consciousness to emerge and recognize the elegant mathematics underlying reality, for minds to develop that could appreciate both the cosmic dance of galaxies and the quantum waltz of particles. In seeking to understand the universe, we may be fulfilling its deepest purpose, to know itself. In the end, the greatest quantum mystery may be that we exist at all. Temporary coalitions of stardust that can contemplate infinity, fleeting arrangements of matter that can experience beauty, brief flickers of awareness in an ancient cosmos that has somehow arranged itself to recognize its own magnificence. We are the universe dreaming of itself, and in our questions and wonder, the cosmos finds its voice. As you rest now, let these mysteries wash over you like gentle waves. You are part of something vast and beautiful, connected to every star and particle through invisible threads of quantum entanglement and cosmic evolution. In the vast expanse of consciousness, where thoughts ripple like waves across an infinite ocean of awareness, there exists a phenomenon so profound, so quietly revolutionary, that it transforms the very nature of how we understand sleep, dreams, and the boundaries of reality itself. Tonight, as billions of minds across our planet surrender to the gentle embrace of slumber, they unknowingly participate in one of the most extraordinary quantum processes occurring anywhere in the known universe. Sleep is not merely rest. It is not simply the brain's way of recharging, like plugging in a device overnight. Sleep as we are beginning to understand through the convergence of neuroscience and quantum physics, is actually a gateway, a portal through which consciousness shifts into entirely different dimensional states, accessing realms of information and experience that exist beyond the classical boundaries of space and time. When you close your eyes tonight and drift into that liminal space between waking and sleeping, something remarkable begins to happen. The neural networks in your brain start to synchronize in ways that mirror the behavior of quantum systems. Brainwaves shift from the rapid beta frequencies of waking consciousness to the slower, more coherent alpha, theta, and delta waves that characterize deeper states of rest. But these are not just electrical patterns. They are quantum signatures, indicators that consciousness itself is beginning to delocalize, to spread beyond the confined boundaries of your individual brain. Consider this. During REM sleep, when dreams are most vivid and strange, your brain consumes almost as much energy as it does when you're awake. Why would evolution preserve such an energetically expensive process if sleep were merely about rest? The answer lies in understanding that during sleep, consciousness doesn't simply turn off. It expands. It begins to access what quantum physicists call non-local information fields, connecting with patterns of knowledge and experience that exist outside the normal boundaries of individual awareness. Dreams, in this understanding, are not random firings of neurons or the brain's attempt to process the day's experiences. Dreams are quantum explorations, journeys into parallel dimensions of possibility where consciousness can experience alternate versions of reality, alternate timelines, alternate selves. Every night as you dream, you are essentially quantum tunneling through the multiverse, experiencing fragments of the infinite possible worlds that exist in superposition around our own. This is why dreams often feel so real, so vivid, even when their content defies all logic and physical laws. In dreams, you can fly. You can be in multiple places simultaneously. You can meet people who have died. You can experience events that never happened in your waking life, yet feel profoundly meaningful. This is because in the dream state, consciousness operates according to quantum rather than classical principles. The normal rules of locality, causality, and singular identity dissolve, allowing awareness to explore the vast quantum field of potential experiences. Recent research in neuroscience has revealed something extraordinary about sleep cycles. The brain doesn't simply cycle through different stages of sleep in a linear fashion. Instead, it exhibits what researchers call quantum coherence, moments when millions of neurons across different regions of the brain suddenly synchronize their firing patterns, creating brief windows of unified, coherent brain activity that resembles the behavior of quantum systems. During these moments of quantum coherence, which occur most frequently during deep sleep and REM phases, the brain appears to be processing information in ways that classical neuroscience cannot fully explain. This field is not located anywhere specific in space or time. It exists everywhere and nowhere simultaneously, much like the quantum vacuum that underlies all of physical reality. It contains the accumulated experiences, memories, and knowledge of all conscious beings, woven together in a vast web of interconnected awareness. When we sleep, when our individual consciousness becomes more fluid and less rigidly defined, we can sometimes access this field directly. This explains why people sometimes report shared dreams, where multiple individuals experience remarkably similar dream content despite having no conscious communication about it. It explains why dreams sometimes contain information that the dreamer had no conscious access to. Knowledge about distant events, insights into problems they hadn't been consciously working on, or profound creative inspirations that seem to come from beyond their individual mind. The phenomenon of lucid dreaming, becoming conscious within the dream state, represents perhaps the most direct interface between waking consciousness and these quantum realms. In lucid dreams, the dreamer maintains enough self-awareness to recognize that they are dreaming while still remaining connected to the expanded consciousness field accessed during sleep. This creates a unique state where classical and quantum modes of consciousness coexist, allowing for experiences that transcend the normal boundaries of both waking and sleeping awareness. Advanced practitioners of lucid dreaming report experiences that sound remarkably similar to the descriptions of quantum phenomena that physicists study in laboratories. They describe moving through multiple realities simultaneously, experiencing non-linear time where past, present, and future blend together, and accessing information that exists beyond their individual knowledge base. They report encounters with other conscious beings, some familiar, some utterly alien, that feel as real and meaningful as any waking interaction. But the quantum nature of sleep consciousness extends beyond individual experience. Sleep may actually be a fundamental mechanism by which consciousness participates in the ongoing creation and evolution of reality itself. During sleep, when individual ego boundaries dissolve and consciousness becomes more fluid, we may be actively contributing to what physicists call the quantum information processing of the universe. Consider that the universe, according to quantum theory, exists in a state of constant potential until consciousness collapses wave functions into specific realities through the act of observation. But this process doesn't stop when we go to sleep. Instead, it shifts into a different mode, one where consciousness is no longer constrained by the linear, logical thought patterns of waking awareness and can explore and influence quantum possibilities more directly. Every night, as billions of minds enter these expanded states of consciousness, they may be collectively participating in a vast, unconscious process of reality creation and selection. Through the quantum field accessed during sleep, consciousness may be continuously choosing which of the infinite possible futures will manifest into physical reality. The dreams we have, the symbolic narratives that play out in our sleeping minds, may be far more than personal psychological processing. They may be consciousness actively participating in the universe's ongoing evolution. This perspective transforms how we understand the relationship between individual and collective consciousness. During waking hours, we experience ourselves as separate, isolated beings, each contained within our own skull, looking out at an external world. But during sleep, these boundaries dissolve. The quantum field of consciousness reveals itself as a unified, interconnected web where individual minds are not separate entities, but rather localized expressions of a larger, unified awareness. This is why meditation traditions have long emphasized the importance of the state between waking and sleeping. That twilight consciousness where the boundaries between self and cosmos begin to blur. In this state, practitioners report experiences of unity consciousness, where the sense of being a separate individual dissolves into a direct experience of being one with the universe itself. These are not mystical fantasies, but glimpses into the actual quantum structure of consciousness. The implications of understanding sleep as a quantum phenomenon extend far beyond personal experience. If consciousness during sleep has access to non-local information fields, then sleep may be humanity's most underutilized resource for solving complex problems, generating creative innovations, and gaining insights into the fundamental nature of reality. Throughout history, many of the greatest scientific discoveries and artistic creations have emerged from dreams or sleep-inspired insights. The structure of DNA, the periodic table, countless musical compositions, and mathematical theorems have all been discovered or created through dream consciousness. This suggests that sleep-based consciousness may have access to forms of knowledge and understanding that are not readily available to waking, rational thought. As we begin to understand sleep as a quantum phenomenon, we also begin to see how individual sleep patterns might be connected to larger cosmic rhythms and cycles. The circadian rhythms that govern our sleep-wake cycles are synchronized not just with the rotation of Earth, but with subtle cosmic influences. Solar radiation patterns, magnetic field fluctuations, and even the gravitational effects of celestial bodies. These cosmic influences may serve as carriers for quantum information, subtle signals that help synchronize individual consciousness with larger patterns of cosmic evolution. When we sleep in harmony with these natural rhythms, we may be optimizing our connection to the quantum consciousness field. enhancing our ability to access non-local information and participate in the collective evolution of awareness. The technology we use and the environments we create around sleep may significantly impact our ability to access these quantum states of consciousness. Electromagnetic fields from electronic devices, artificial lighting that disrupts natural circadian rhythms, and environments filled with synthetic materials may interfere with the delicate quantum processes that occur during sleep. Conversely, sleeping in natural environments, maintaining consistent sleep schedules aligned with natural light cycles, and creating spaces free from electromagnetic interference may enhance our ability to access the deeper dimensions of consciousness that sleep makes available. Some researchers suggest that certain minerals and crystals may help create electromagnetic environments that support quantum coherence in consciousness, though this remains an area of ongoing investigation. As we move forward in our understanding of consciousness and quantum physics, the study of sleep states may become one of the most important frontiers in science. We may discover that consciousness during sleep has capabilities that far exceed what we currently imagine. Abilities to access information across space and time, to influence physical reality through quantum field interactions, and to participate in forms of collective intelligence that span not just our planet, but the cosmos itself. The ancient wisdom traditions were perhaps closer to the truth than we realized when they taught that sleep is a form of death and rebirth, a nightly journey into other realms of existence. But rather than seeing this as metaphor, we may need to understand it as literal description of consciousness, temporarily transcending the classical boundaries of individual identity and merging with the quantum field of infinite possibility. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, remember that you are not simply resting your body and brain. You are preparing for one of the most extraordinary journeys available to consciousness. A quantum voyage into dimensions of reality that exist beyond space and time, where your individual awareness dissolves into the vast ocean of cosmic consciousness, contributing to and drawing from the collective wisdom of all existence. In sleep, we return to our quantum nature. We remember, however briefly, that consciousness is not produced by the brain but rather expressed through it, that awareness is not contained within the skull but extends infinitely through the fabric of reality itself. And in the morning, when we wake with fragments of dreams still lingering in memory, we carry back with us whispers of these deeper truths, quantum insights that can transform how we understand ourselves and our place in the magnificent, mysterious cosmos we call home. The boundary between sleeping and waking, between dreaming and reality, between individual and universal consciousness, reveals itself to be far more fluid and permeable than we ever imagined. And in recognizing this fluidity, we begin to awaken to the extraordinary quantum nature of consciousness itself, where every moment of awareness is both intensely personal and cosmically universal, where every thought ripples through the infinite field of existence, and where every night's sleep is a return to the source of all being.